Look at this. These humanoid robots are doing Tai Chi in front of a 600-year-old temple in Beijing. Or this, sharing the stage with one of Asia's biggest pop stars, performing live in front of thousands of screaming fans. And then, this, broadcast live on the Spring Festival Gala, the China's Super Bowl to celebrate New Year, but with over 1 billion viewers. For decades, the humanoid robot has been the ultimate million-dollar research project. We are used to seeing them locked in a stereo lab, attached to cables, or tested in an empty warehouse. The global consensus has always been they are fragile, rather expensive, and still years away from consumer reality. But reality is moving a lot faster than the consensus. Welcome to JustinDecodes ChinaTech. Today, we are decoding the next generation, robots. Two questions came to my mind. Why would a state broadcaster give prime airtime to a piece of machine? And why are pop stars sharing the stage with machines? Most people just see a cool dance, but you have been watching China's industrial moves as long as I do. You don't see a dance, you see a signal. Think back to 15 years ago. What was pushed to be highlighted on these national stages? Electric vehicles. They flooded the screens, the subsidies, and the policy papers with EVs. And now, with the EV sector gets into bloody red ocean price war, a new narrative is beginning to take shape. The baton has already been passed. The electric vehicle is probably no longer the industrial priority. Instead, the humanoid robot is quickly emerging as the next massive frontier. This is not a toy. This is not a gadget. We are witnessing the birth of China's next national grand strategy. So, is this hype or is it real? In the West, tech trends are usually driven by venture capital money and the market buzz. But in China, they are driven by policy guidelines. The Ministry of Industry of China didn't just write a suggestion. They published a deadline. The guideline is crystal clear. By 2025, the entire nervous system of the robot industry must be built. Brains, cerebrums, limbs, fully domesticated. By 2027, a world-class supply chain must be built. They aren't just hoping for a supply chain. They are legislating one into existence. And if you think that timeline is aggressive, wait until you see the price tag. In Silicon Valley, a humanoid robot is a luxury item. It costs as a Tesla. But here, meet the no-e-tix Xiaobumi, less than 10,000 RMB, around only $1,400. And the Unitree Go 2 starts at around only 1,600. Similar price of a 14-inch MacBook Pro. You are not buying a laptop. You are buying a fully autonomous, walking, AI-driven robot. One laptop, one robot. This is the new exchange rate. And usually, cheap means garbage, right? Not this time. Because while the price was crashing down, the performance was shooting up. In the last 12 months, the market witnessed a Cambrian explosion in Chinese robotics. Evolutions that usually takes a decade happened in 50 weeks. Look at the movement. ZQ robots are nailing the world's first humanoid backflip. Unitree robots are in a boxing stance, sparring with speed and precision. Look at the endurance. The Expedition A2 didn't just work around a lab. It marched 100 kilometers across a city. And the Deep Robotics is tearing through off-road terrain like a mountain goat. And the scariest part, this isn't just the game for hungry startups. The EV titans have entered the arena in China. XPeng, the EV giant, just dropped its own humanoid robot last year. When an EV car company starts building robots, you know the game has changed. So, looks like China has the speed, the performance, and the price of a laptop. But this defies basic of economics. How can you build a complex machine for the cost of a laptop? To find the answer, we have to look beyond the machine and look at what's parked in the driveway. To understand how this is mathematically possible, we need to stop looking at these machines as sci-fi props. Instead, look at them through the eyes of a supply chain engineer. Because when they look at a humanoid robot, they don't see the future. They see a car. Specifically, an electric vehicle that has shed its outer shell, lost its soul, and stood up on two legs. Think about it. When you look at the heart of a robot, that high-density lithium battery, you aren't looking at new tech. You are looking at the battle-hardened survivals of the EV price war. Those muscles doing backflips? That's just EV motor technology repurposed. The eyes scanning the room, that's the same LiDAR that keeps a smart car in its lane. Even the brain is just the same NVIDIA silicon that's already driving millions of cars across the country. Here is a secret. The robotic industry in China didn't have to reinvent a single one of these components. They simply walked into a red ocean, a brutal blood-soaked EV supply chain where giants like CATL and BYD are fighting for their lives. This pressure forced engineering miracles. Batteries became safer, motors became denser, and the costs were crushed to the floor just to survival. The robotic industry didn't build a new world. They just inherited a supercharged one off the shelf. But hardware is just the body. You still need a ghost in the shell. And this is where China's software dividend kicks in. It begins with the Great Migration. For the last 20 years, China's internet giants Alibaba, Tencent, ByteDance has hoarded the smartest algorithmic minds in China. These engineers spent decades optimizing ad clicks and e-commerce recommendations. But as the mobile internet peaks, the talent pool is leaking. They are moving from the virtual to the physical. They are taking the math used to addict you to TikTok or mobile games and using it to teach robots how to walk. It is a massive transfer of IQ points to manufacturing. To achieve scale, you still need the simulation warp drive, sim to real. In the old days, teaching a robot was slow. If it failed, it broke. It also cost money. But now we have entered the matrix. To be fair, this concept wasn't born in China. It was pioneered by global visionaries like NVIDIA and the top labs like ETH Zurich. They built the digital infrastructure. They built the matrix. But here is what's happening now. Chinese engineers are taking this global tool and applying it at industrial scale that is hard to comprehend. A robot can experience 100 million falls in a single afternoon. It brings the marginal cost of learning to zero. So, the formula is terrifying simple. Take NVIDIA's world-class tool, add millions of hungry Chinese engineers, and you turn expensive R&D into affordable code execution. Now, let me ask you two questions. Why the rush? Why is China pouring resources into robots right now? Because of a ticking clock. The first pressure point is a blue-collar void. It is a global phenomenon, but it is hitting China hard. The world's factory is running out of hands, not because the population is small, but because Generation Z is different. They are educated, they grew up on the internet. They would rather deliver food or live stream on TikTok rather than stand on the assembly line. Factories are offering high wages, but young people simply aren't coming back. The humanoid robot isn't a placement. It is the available filler for this void. But there's an even bigger wave crashing in. The silver tsunami, a single mathematical problem that keeps policymakers awake at night in China. By 2035, China will have 400 million people over the age of 60. This is the entire population of the United States retiring. Families are getting smaller. There simply are not enough young people born to care for this massive aging generation. That explains why the robots at the Spring Festival Gala were folding clothes and cooking dinner. These machines aren't just for building cars. They are destined to become cyber caregivers in our homes. This leads us to the ultimate equation. China's strategy is elegant in survival logic. They are betting that a shrinking human workforce can be offset by a tireless silicon-based one. It's a new math of the industrial age, turning code into labor. Let's zoom out. What we are seeing in China isn't just a tech show, it's an industrial calculation. First, they've mastered the body. By leveraging the world's largest EV supply chain, China has made the robot hardware scalable and affordable. They've nailed the movement and the manufacturing. But the brain, embodied AI, is the next frontier. This is the ability for a robot to reason and understand its environment. This is still a wide open global race. While the hardware is ready, the quest for true general intelligence is a challenge that labs from Silicon Valley to Beijing are still solving. The strategy here is simple. Build the body first, let the intelligence catch up through real-world data. It is the ultimate equation of the new industrial age, turning what's into work. This isn't about robots, it's a practical response to a global labor shortage that affects us all. So my question to you, when the body and the brain finally meet, are you ready to accept a robot co-worker? Let me know in the comments below. I'm Justin Decodes ChinaTech. I will see you in the next one.